with community involvement is this was a very important piece of legislation that the governor signed. It was controversial, as you know, if you've read anything about it, and I know you have in doing your research. But I think that once the Department of Motor Vehicles decides the exact process, and it's up to the DMV how much people are going to have to pay, and in the entire process, what they're going to allow as identification, birth certificates, utility bills, and those sorts of things. Once the process has been designed, it's going to be up to the Department of Motor Vehicles, but also it should be up to us as well. And that we, through social media, through obviously the Hispanic, predominantly you're going to be Hispanic, people of Hispanic descent who are going to be taking advantage of this, is getting out in the with the Hispanic media to put this out, newspaper, radio, television, maybe to get somebody who would be a spokesman for the Department of Motor Vehicles, somebody who was well known in the Hispanic community, to go out and talk about this and say, yes, now you have no criminal record, you have methods of identification, now you can have a driver's license in the state of California.
Thank you.
Our question, the next question is that we have was, is there any possible way that the actual markings may be taken off of the driver's license?
Mm-hmm.
And if so, like, through what legal process does this have to go through?
It would, as the law is written now, no. And I know that it talks about, there's two things. They're going to change, as you know, that on the back of the driver's license right now, you know it has something in there now, where it says that this is not for certain purposes. It says, this license is issued as a license to drive a motor vehicle. It does not establish eligibility for employment, voter registration, or public benefits. That's what my license is now. They're going to change that. Just excuse me, I apologize. They're going to change that somewhat, but that will still be there. I know that they're going to look different than a United States citizen's driver's license. So as the law reads now, the answer to the first part of your question is no. Does it mean that it can't change in the future or evolve, or an amendment could be added to that bill? No. Probably the person that would be most interested in hearing that, or getting why it's done that way now, is Assemblymember Alejo from Salinas. Find out from his office, why wasn't that put in? Why was that not made part of the bill? Why was it made that they had to look different? And does he believe that there's a possibility that it be changed? Because he knows, I don't know how many Democrats or Republicans or Independents voted for one or the other. I don't know how close the vote was. I think it was pretty close. And I think one of the ways, the only way that it could be passed is that they made them look different. They made the people who were against it to say, okay, it's not going to look like a United States citizen having a driver's license. It's going to look like a undocumented immigrant having a driver's license. I think that's where that argument's going to come in, that I mentioned before. You want to come home at midnight, your parents want you to come home at 10, so you're going to compromise and you're going to come home at 11. I think, unfortunately, the way the government, for better or for worse, that's how it works. You're going to have to compromise. I think he would be able to tell you the best if it's going to be able to be changed or not. It may change with time. I think 10 years ago, if you'd have told me we were going to give driver's license to undocumented immigrants, I'd have told you, no way. It's not going to happen. 10 years ago, it never would have passed. Now times are changing. Immigration reform on the federal level is occurring. We're close. We're really close. But it's a give and take, push and pull, Democrat, Republican, liberal, conservative, federal government, state government. It's that push and pull. I think perhaps Assemblymember Alejo might be able to tell you, does he think there's any chance, or what does he see for the future, perhaps, how this law might evolve. But I think in answer to your first question, no, as it's passed now, no, it's not going to change. And I think it's only because that's the only way they could get it passed. We're not going to get everything that they're not going to get everything they wanted. They're going to get mostly everything that they wanted. Does that make sense at all? Kind of? Okay.
Can I say something?
Sure.
I just feel like the license, like it's not the fact that it looks different. It's just like basically like let's just say a criminal does something. It's basically like saying, like putting in the license that I'm a criminal and saying it to everyone.
Right.
Like that's
Mhm.
like in records, it's private. Like that's how it should be. Like if you're gonna like get the license, it should be in private. It shouldn't be like, oh yeah, I'm an immigrant. Everybody look at me different. Like
Right. Well, one of the ways that that they could do it without it being so obvious is that every driver's license has a letter, or I'm sorry, a letter first, and then has a number. They could leave that particular number with a signifying. There has to be some way in our database to show that like you're not 21, or that it's my driver's license and 33. I used to know what it 33 6. I don't remember what it is now, but there's a number, a letter, and then a number. And you might be able to do it that it's not so obvious, that it would be in the database, that you could say, instead of it having it look different or having something that says undocumented or either on the front or the back, that may not be as conspicuous. So that if I'm cashing a check at a bank, they don't know whether I'm a citizen or not, I'm a resident or not, or a citizen of the United States or not. Because there's really no way obvious to see that that I'm undocumented. Okay, it may kind of like the 21-year-old. I mean, it looks completely different. It looks like it's almost a different state. It has the same markings, but it looks different. You might be able to make it less conspicuous because if you're an undocumented resident than a normal driver's license. It could be maybe a sequence of numbers, some sort of a different code, where if I run your driver's license number, it will show that on our database. Like you can run my driver's license, you'll know my date of birth, where I live, any tickets I've had, anything, and which we'll be able to use for these undocumented residents, and maybe have it in the database, just not have it obvious in the business card. Because if I give you my business card and it says undocumented resident, by the way that it looks, you're right. There is a feeling that there's some stigma attached to that. But you're going to have to figure out a way to get the other side to agree. The people that disagree. That's the hard part. It's like when your mom says yes and dad says no, and trying to talk dad into, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes you have to say, okay, I'll meet you in the middle somewhere. So, okay. Show me what you got. Show me what you have here. Is this part of your presentation?
yeah.
Okay. Do you